Hello, guys. Welcome back to the GBDENG podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Aiden Billing. Of course, I run the GBD Reviews page on Instagram, and this is my buddy Daniel, who runs...
Yeah, I'm Daniel. I run the YouTube channel reviewing.
Yes, best channel on the planet. Go subscribe, please, if you haven't already. All right, so we have some movie trivia to start off today before we get into our news and then main segment. So, would you like to start or shall I start?
You can start.
Okay. In what year did Jamie Foxx get nominated for Best Supporting Actor and Best Actor at the Academy Awards?
It was like early 2000s. Was that 2004?
That was the year those movies came out, but I'll give you it because the award ceremony was in 2005. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all right, man.
Yeah, no. I was just, So my trivia question for you is, how many nominations for Best Original Screenplay has Peak Doctor received?
Ooh, okay. Well, I know he did. Well, he did Finding Nemo, right? I'm just trying to remember. Or was that someone else? I can't remember.
He did not. He wasn't. I don't think he was involved in the writing of Finding Nemo.
All right. I'm going to say 5.
It's a bit too much. So he got screenplay for Toy Story. He was part of the team that helped write that, I believe.
Yeah,
that
that's
was
right.
Nominated. He was part of the Wall-E one. He got a nomination for that. He wrote Up. He got a nomination for that, and then he got the nomination for Inside Out, and I believe those are the 4 he got.
Oh,
well, you're pretty close. Yeah.
Damn it. All right, no worries. So, before we get into talking about the movie Soul, let's talk about some movie news. What have you got for us today, Daniel?
Yeah, so some new news we got is that, first of all, they've confirmed after the release of Wonder Woman 1984, which came out on Christmas, that Patty Jenkins will be again taking the lead on a Wonder Woman 3, which has been confirmed, and she again will be the director of that movie.
Yeah, no, I'm quite excited for that, to be honest. I mean, I actually quite like the first one, even though the ending was a little bit silly, in my opinion. You didn't need it, but I mean, I still enjoyed it. So, and I haven't seen the second one yet, and I am really excited too. So, maybe I'll check it out on my birthday. We will see what happens, but yeah, no, but positive figures for that movie so far. Critically, it's a bit mixed, but the audience seemed to like it. I mean, it's made. Yeah, apparently it set a new domestic box office record for the pandemic. That was quite interesting.
Right. Yeah.
And,
No, it's just not surprising that it would set a new record for.
Well, yeah, of course, it is quite a big movie, and then of course you got
proper release than I think Tenet, which is the only thing that would rival it, because I think Tenet in the United States had a more scattered release schedule. I think it earned more in the foreign box office.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. Yeah, no, so promising numbers from HBO Max as well, which is still not in Canada. Warner Bros., if you're watching this, which I doubt, please put it on. Please bring HBO Max to Canada. That would be much appreciated. I don't want to pay $30 to watch it, but I will if I have to. So, yeah. All right. You got anything else for us? There's not much really happened.
Not a lot has been happening, but
yeah.
I don't remember which website did this, but Anya Taylor-Joy was named Breakout Entertainer of the Year. I don't know if you've seen any of her movies. She's definitely probably one of the more up-and-coming actors right now. She's been in a lot of good stuff, like she was in
Split.
The Witch, directed by Robert Eggers. Thoroughbreds, I'm not sure who directed that. She'll be in Last Night in Soho, which will be an Edgar Wright movie, and she was also the star of The Queen's Gambit, which has been a pretty big success on Netflix.
Yeah, no, I actually still need to watch that. I mean, it looks interesting. It looks interesting, to be honest, but yeah, it's in my list for sure. So, since there's not a lot of movie news, I think you and I were kind of discussing this earlier, maybe we could talk about some of our more anticipated releases for the next year, considering how close we are to the new year.
Yeah, so since we're close to New Year and 2020 movies of releases they only have 3 more days to come out to be considered 2020 movies. But the definition of that can definitely stretch out, because some movies have barely come out. Some of them will only get a mainstream release next year, like Nomadland, Minari, among a few others. But let's talk about ones that are specifically coming out next year. Aiden, what is your most anticipated movie?
Oof, it's gotta be Marvel's Spider-Man 3, not to be confused with the Sony Spider-Man 3. I mean, like, just looking at like the cast, all the characters that are gonna be in it, I am worried a little bit just because like when they've tried to put too many characters into a Spider-Man movie for like a big like finale type film, it hasn't always worked out.
Yeah,
but I like that. I have more faith in the team this time around because it's all Marvel, right? They're running their own stuff, and I feel like because it's Marvel, there will be less like there won't be as much like studio interference, and if there is studio interference, it's gonna be by people who know what they're doing and know the source material well.
Right.
It's not gonna be by a bunch of board executives, and I think that's
right.
gonna be key here. So high hopes for it. I hope it's good. As a Spider-Man fan myself, I'm praying to God it's good. So.
Yeah, I'm for sure looking forward to that. I wrote down a lot of stuff. I'm just going to quickly go over them. So we got Dune from Denis Villeneuve. Might be my most anticipated. I think that would be tied with... I kind of have three that are my most anticipated. So Dune from Denis Villeneuve. He's a great director. I think he's one of my top 10 directors. Edgar Wright for Last Night in Soho. It is supposed to be more of a horror movie. I don't know how much... Since he's been doing comedy stuff, I don't know how true of a horror movie it's going to be, and I personally don't love horror movies, so if it's more of a horror movie, I might not like as much, but we'll definitely see. Also, a new film from Damien Chazelle, the director of Whiplash and La La Land, called Babylon, is planning to come out. Oh, he also directed First Man. Mm-hmm. I've loved pretty much all of his movies. La La Land and Whiplash are in my top 10 movies of all time, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Quickly go down the list of some of the other stuff. We got Black Widow, which should have come out this year, but got delayed to next year. We got Eternals, which will be directed by Chloe Zhao, the director of Nomadland, another Marvel movie. Shang-Chi, we talked about this a little bit last time, how Simu Liu, Daniel Destin Creighton. We got Luca, the new Pixar film. Mm-hmm. West Side Story, Steven Spielberg. We got two movies, apparently, from Ridley Scott. We got The Last Duel, which is supposed to have Adam Driver, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon. We got a Gucci biopic from him as well, which was supposed to have Adam Driver and Lady Gaga, I believe.
Wow.
We got Candyman, which is a Blumhouse. I believe it's supposed to be a
Blumhouse
I know
Candyman, yeah. I just wanted to clarify for our audience who hasn't seen it's actually a remake of a 1992 horror film, based on the same premise. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, actually. So I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah. Jordan Peele helped write it. Yahya Abdul-Mateen is starring in it. Oh, yeah. We got Raya and the Last Dragon, Disney's Prime animation movie of the year. Looks pretty good. We got Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
Which should be fun, hopefully.
The long-awaited sequel.
Yeah. We got Judas and the Black Messiah, a film that's still gunning for Oscars of this year because it can come out early 2021 and still qualify. And then we also got Cherry, another film. It's by the Russo brothers with Tom Holland, also looking to maybe get some consideration in the Oscars. So, yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah. I actually have one more anticipated movie I forgot to mention earlier, but I don't know if you mentioned it, but it's In the Heights.
Yeah.
And that was like, it's based off the musical by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And honestly, like, I don't know what's up with me this year, but like I've been anticipating a lot of musicals, like, first The Prom and then like this one, right? It looks so cool. The music seems awesome. Like, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's going to be great, I think.
It is. The In the Heights, I love the soundtrack. It's being directed by John M. Chu, who isn't the best Asian director. He's not one of the better directors, but I think he could definitely... We don't know what he can completely do. He's definitely not developed his full style, so he definitely has room to grow, and I think he'll show that through this.
Because aside from, like, Crazy Rich Asians, he did G.I. Joe Retaliation, which I don't know if I can forgive him for, and Jim and the Holograms, which was also garbage. Yeah.
So he needs good... Some of the stuff, though, that from the trailer that I've seen looks real exciting. Looks like it's trying to push some heights that other musicals haven't before. West Side Story is also a musical. It's being Steven Spielberg, something he's never done before.
I think it'll be good.
That should be interesting.
Honestly, like, can you even think of like a bad Spielberg movie off the top of your head? Because I honestly can't. There's a few like okay ones, but there's nothing really bad in his filmography.
Like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull I haven't seen that one personally. Ready Player One, I think it's okay. It's definitely not one of his stronger efforts. It's like one of the things that really put that film down is that in like that VR space, it should have been really creative and vibrant and colorful. But then
Yeah.
I noticed how like when I look at it, how dull that like last big scene with all the like different people going at that last key thing. It's the entire thing just looks like gray.
And
Just
it's also filled with a
bit
bit
unfortunate.
too many Easter eggs as well, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
although
Like,
too many
yeah.
too much reference, not enough substance.
Yeah, I think that was more due to the source material. Like in the source material, apparently there are a lot of references, but I mean, if you're a like he is a smart filmmaker, so I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a shame that he can like see that you can't keep all of them in, right? But it's all good.
But no,
Yeah.
he's a legendary
Still
director.
thought it was all right.
He
Yeah.
pretty much he's been a little hit or miss in the past decade or so. So hopefully this one will be a hit.
Yeah.
Speaking of hit or miss, I think we can move on to talk about our movie Soul, Pixar. Pixar has been hit or miss recently, I'd say. I like
I think
most
like
of their
the
films.
last 5 years or something.
Yeah, if you go back in the past 5 years, they have Soul, Incredibles 2, Coco, and then Finding Dory, and then The Last Dinosaur. If you include that, it's technically 6 years, but
What else? I think there was one more. Onward as well. Can't forget
and
about
then
that.
Onward, yeah, Onward that
Yeah.
came out most recently this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I thought Onward was okay. I just didn't think it was like prime Pixar. Like the whole
It wasn't
setting
prime
that it had,
Pixar.
like, yeah, it was like urban fantasy is so cool. It's such a cool idea. It's just it's a shame that like not enough like movies have like been able to do that well. I don't even think
Yeah.
there is a movie that's been able to like do it like amazingly well, to be honest. Because you had Bright, which was shit, but that was the only other attempt I can think of besides Onward. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean Onward's still in my top 20 of this year, so I think it's still a solid movie. I enjoy
Oh yeah, it's definitely solid. Just it could have been a lot better. That's all I mean.
Could have been better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. So I think we're ready to talk about Soul a little more specifically.
Hell
So
yeah.
this is directed by Pete Docter, co-directed by Kent Powers. Kent Powers is someone who's new to the movie game. He's been a playwright, as I know. He wrote the play One Night in Miami, which has been and wrote the screenplay, which Regina King directed into a movie. That's pretty high up on most people's Oscar predictions in many categories, including Best Picture. Best Supporting Actor, also Leslie Odom Jr. has been pretty hyped up. But yeah, so Pete Docter, the director of Up, Monsters Inc. I always forget that he directed Monsters Inc. sometimes, but Monsters Inc. Up, and Inside Out.
Yeah, honestly, I loved Inside Out when it came out. I got to go see it in theaters with my friends. That was brilliant. And then, of course, Monsters Inc. is a classic, right? So
Yeah,
you can't really go
for
wrong
sure.
with that. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the film, man? Like, what did you think? Like, just give me your overall summary of it.
Yeah, I haven't heard many people bring this take up, and I personally am a bit surprised no one else has felt this way, but I think this movie works best as a comedy.
Really?
Yes. And I think the strongest points in the movie are the kind of the second parts of the first act to about the second half of the second act is the time where it's like bringing on the most jokes and it's kind of using its like the creative world to bring all those jokes. And I personally thought that's when the movie was the most enjoyable for me. I thought it was I thought I was going to rate it a little bit higher than I did. I still really like the film, but the film was just really hilarious up to that point.
Dude, exactly.
I really love the comedy in this film. I think it works best overall as a comedy because for me, when it came to the third act and was going for the more drama, more touching moments, those did not hit me as hard as most Pixar, good Pixar drama and most good drama movies do. That's where it missed the mark for me.
No, I definitely agree with the comedy was really good, especially the visual comedy with Terry and all the Jerrys. It was so funny how they were able to incorporate that in there.
I really liked the creativity of the what was it the zone / the I forget what they people's who are just in a
the aimless souls, yeah.
Yeah, the aimless souls. I really like those, the jokes they were to do. I really like the Nick's joke. That was
fucking
pretty funny.
Honestly.
That was pretty funny. The Wall Street one, I like that. That's one I can remember. Let me see if I remember specific ones, but no. Yeah. But no, yeah, that's what I loved most about this movie was the comedy. But when it went for the drama, I think it was being a little too ambitious with all of its concepts. It wasn't able to like kind of center on one specific thing it was going for, like one element of life. It was just trying to say life as a whole, and I think that was a little too broad for
I
it to
mean,
work.
I guess I sort of agree with you there. Like some of those moments, like yeah, they did kind of come out of nowhere for me, but I think wasn't that bad. I mean, like, I think it definitely brings
I
up
don't
some
think it's
interesting
bad.
discussion.
I
Maybe
just
a little bit too much for like a children's film, right? But
yeah.
it was still ambitious, like you said. So
Like, yeah, it's very
yeah,
ambitious, and I think it's a little bit too ambitious to try to, like, of course, Pete Docter's goal is this was just trying to find the purpose of life, which he acknowledged, like, I watched some of the extras, he acknowledged himself. It's a little bit of a pompous statement to, like, make a movie about this. And I think ultimately it ended up being that way. Of course, he, like, him and his team brought so much creativity to every single part of it, especially through, like, the best parts of the movie for me, like, this first, second act. But I think when it was trying to like make you think, like trying to bring you up, trying to make you feel all like Joe's life and what your life, how your life pertains to that, I didn't really feel that very much at all.
yeah. I mean, like, I guess I kind of hear what you're saying there, but the only one thing I'm gonna go in like kind of a different direction for you. I kind of felt like the only thing I can really rip the film for was its ending, and it wasn't even that bad. I felt like they should have let Joe go on. I think that would have been the perfect ending. But I feel like they've just like copped out a little bit by letting him go back to his life instead of, giving 22 like his body. I felt like it just felt like too much of a, fairy tale happy ending. I didn't like it as much. I thought I was in for like an even better ending, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the ending's a little bit abrupt.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a while since I don't remember what was the specific ending again.
Okay, so basically, what's his name? I can't remember the guy's name now. Okay, let's just call him Jamie Foxx's character, right? Jamie Foxx.
Joe.
Oh,
That was Joe.
Joe Gardner. Yeah, that's right. So Joe Gardner's like he's coming back up, right? He comes from the zone and he meets 22 again, tries to give her back, her Earth pass, right? And then he finally succeeds. But instead of her going back into like, his body, she finds a new body but he doesn't know that until he's like about to go into the great beyond, and then Jerry comes back and says, "Hey,
oh yeah,
because you were such a great guy, we're gonna give you a second chance."
Yeah.
And I don't know, dude. Like,
it felt
I'm
a
not
little
gonna lie
bit
to you,
plot
like,
convenient to me.
yeah,
like
dude, I was like bawling my eyes out when I thought that Joe was gonna like, not come back. I thought that would have been a beautiful ending, but like, I don't know. It felt kind of cheap. It just didn't feel like earned. Like, he's come to terms with his life, and he's okay with giving it up. So why just give him an out? It didn't really make sense to me in that regard. But yeah,
I think I think the revolution is more trying to recognize is that his life purpose wasn't about becoming a great jazz musician. That I think one of the biggest purposes of this movie is to show that whatever you're passionate in and what you're talented at, that's not your life's purpose. It's not the purpose of life. Yes, those things are great. They can bring the joy, like they can bring a lot of joy in life, but it's like you also definitely have to find the balance between that and just kind of the little things of everyday life, right? Just like the small things that you run into in between being outside, whatever's like in between you and like your passion. You also got to appreciate it and not see it as an obstacle, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It was nice. I think that's a good theme to explore. Another thing I think we need to talk about, dude, the animation, incredible, right?
Animation's very good.
Yeah.
It wasn't completely mind blowing for me. I mean, it's Pixar. You have high expectations for Pixar animation. It is definitely one of their better animation feats. I think the human world, I think, is actually the more impressive part to me. I think
No, I definitely agree. Like the way they use lighting, it actually looks like real life lighting. It's crazy. Like I was looking at this thing, and like in some scenes without an anime character walking in, you almost think it's real. It's crazy to me. I don't know.
Yeah, like
I don't
they
know if
do
you found
a
that,
very
but
good job at like recreating like New York for Joe. To make it as authentic as possible as an animation movie, which is I think a big step forward for animation, because animation's always seen like it finds the right balance between that and this futuristic world, which is kind of like, because you think about it, if you didn't have that futuristic world like the Great Beyond and the Great Before, there wouldn't really be a point of making this an animation movie, but it definitely
Yeah.
finds the balance between those two. And I think this might even make Pixar eventually go for a just like a almost completely IRL movie, because they know like they can visualize, like the power of animation is that they don't have to do cheap visual effects along with that. They can do like really good animation to like project some more supernatural images that wouldn't be possible in a live action movie without looking like weird and sometimes really
Yeah.
bad, right?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
Okay, like I kind of like I quite like the music as well, to be honest. Like, what did you think of the music? I thought, like, especially not just the jazz elements, but I mean like the score by, again, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross. These guys are
Yeah.
killing it with movies they've done. Honestly, like this was
Yeah.
an incredible soundtrack.
Yeah, they've had a huge
Yeah.
year. Frankly, they don't always do scores all the time. I think they go, since Trent Reznor's the leader of Nine Inch Nails. He kind of
Yeah.
goes between that work and score work, but I think this year he's definitely done a ton of score work in the
Yeah.
past couple of years. He's done Waves, a movie by Trey Edward Schultz I quite liked. He did the music. They did the music for Watchmen, something that got a lot of Emmy hype and won a good amount of Emmys in the limited series category.
Yeah.
They also did, they did Mank, and then they've done, and then they did this movie, which is very neat, because when you think of Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, Nine Inch Nails, you definitely don't think Pixar. This is definitely a much more unique project for them. Most of the movies they've done before are much more mature movies. I think technically The Social Network is the most kid-friendly thing they've done because it's PG-13. But no, they do a very good job at balancing the music between being ominous but also not too scary, which I think is a big issue for this movie. I think it executes pretty well, but I don't think perfectly, is the balance between the adult audience and the child audience. Like, I heard some people thinking that this movie might be too mature for a lot of kids. Like you said, if your ending was like if Joe like died, it might have been a little too dark for like a children's audience. Like,
Yeah.
most people consider this probably Pixar's most mature work, and I think that's where it kind of maybe loses a little bit of its magic. I still quite like this movie, but I think that the fact that they have to balance that, since they're a Pixar, they're a Disney company, they have to cater towards kids, kind of held back some of the more like fully fleshed out things they could have done.
Yeah, no, like I totally agree. Like I said, I personally felt that ending would have been better, but you are right. Like it may have been a bit too much to handle for kids, and I think they realized that, and that's why they, put in that bailout ending. And as a result, I just didn't feel like it worked that well, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a shame. Like hopefully one day when they're able to do like if they do decide to do like maybe like like an adult animated movie, there's stuff like that exists out there, or maybe like you said, like a live action movie. Maybe they can like build something that's like this, or like deals with other themes. They don't have to like worry about a kid audience being like scared or like freaked out by any of these themes. So
yeah,
yeah.
I think Pixar it's going to be a while before they do something like that. I think because them being a Disney company, everything from like even Marvel is not going to be able to make a R-rated movie. I don't think anytime soon. I think it's going to be a while before they try to branch into that kind of stuff. I don't know how they're going to do that. Like if you're going to think about something like Deadpool, that's a Sony.
That's what I was thinking.
That's a Sony movie. Everything under the Disney platform is PG-13. They've never, I don't think anything. What's
it called? Sorry to interrupt, but I think Deadpool was actually Fox. So I think in that sense
it is Fox.
Yeah. So how are they? I'm just wondering how they're going to do that though, because like they could. Yeah, because they could go for the risk and make it R.
They did purchase Fox.
Yeah.
But I think they're not going to be. I don't know. No one knows really what's going to happen to the X-Men franchise, but I don't know. It's going to be weird. I don't know if Disney will maybe try to make a more adult catered studio that kind of collaborates with things like Pixar to make that times Pixar kind of more adult centric movie. I don't think they're ever going to release something like Deadpool. I think if they're going to do a mature film, it's not going to be one that's purposely like raunchy or too violent. Maybe one that just more is a depiction of real life. Like this movie, I think was trying to go for as much as it could under its Pixar PG rating, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, man. It makes a lot of sense. And like you are, like you said, you are limited because of the studio you're working with, right? You know, Disney, like that. They didn't release their like first PG-13 until like 2003s. You know, of course, the Black Pearl, right? So it's been a very family friendly studio for a while.
Yeah.
So I think an R movie would definitely be a big step up that I think we're a bit far away from. So yeah.
I mean, I think it would be definitely exciting for them though to like do an animation movie that tries to focus on a more mature subject like this, but is able to fully go for the more griminess and the more adult stuff of real life, right?
Yeah, I think there's only one movie off the top of my head I can think about that kind of does sort of something like this. Have you ever heard of A Scanner Darkly?
No.
Okay, so yeah, it's animated kind of funny, but you know it is an animated film, and it deals with a lot of mature themes that you typically wouldn't see in an animated movie, right? You see them like kind of in animated TV shows these days, but not really on the silver screen. So yeah, maybe if there's more movies like that, you know, it could be interesting. I think. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think if there's like the more adult animation, like something like BoJack Horseman uses the animation genre to, well, no, I shouldn't call it a genre. People don't like that. Using animation to like create this more surreal universe with where animals are people, and I think it uses that creativity a lot. It provides a ton of the jokes of the show, which I think it's what's built around, but also has that balance of sadness. I kind of compared this movie to a Taika Waititi movie. I think his signature style as a director is to do a story that makes you laugh for about the first half of it, and then as the second, it just like hits you with something that kind of makes you sad. I think this movie doesn't do nearly as good a job as most of Taika's work at doing that.
All right, I'll see what you mean there. Yeah, I mean, like that's just your opinion. I personally felt like for the most part it did a few good, mostly good stuff. But no, it could have been executed a lot better though. Yeah. So what do you give this movie? Like, what's your final rating? What would you say?
My final rating for this movie is an 8.5 out of 10. I think I pretty much take a whole 1 off for the drama not being executed as well, and then I think the 0.5 would be more the ending. Like it feels a little too convenient, like him being able to go back to Earth. And I think that's because it's held back by the studio, like the idea that it has to be a kids movie a little bit because of how ambitious it is. But honestly, this is still a really good movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm actually gonna go like 0.5 up from you. I'm gonna give it a 9, just because the only thing that really didn't work for me was the ending and like how it had to be kid friendly in too many areas where like it could have really expanded upon. So
but this movie is it's probably my favorite. Like if you genre it as a comedy, it's probably my favorite comedy of the year. The jokes are just really good in that act to second act.
Especially with Terry voiced by Rachel House, like her Kiwi accent mixed with like all the visual comedy that like her character's animated to do. It works perfectly. I laughed every single time.
Yeah, I like those. I don't know. I think my favorite joke maybe was the next one. It was very